Hello my friends, in today's video we will take a look at Insta360 One X3. One X has been the most popular line of consumer 360 cameras for a while now. 360 is getting more popular every year, so it makes sense that Insta360 wants to keep up with the demands and keep improving the One X. In this video we will take a look at the output and the feature set of One X3, and I will try to help you decide whether you should consider getting one. This video will be about using One X3 for overcapture and 2D publishing, so it will not cover the VR. One X3 uses the usual two sensor setup combining two fisheye lenses, but the sensors are larger 1/2 inch type. It still outputs 5.7K 360 video, but I will talk about that later. One X3 is 11.3 cm tall and it weighs around 150 grams, which is basically the same as the X2. The build quality is one of the highlights of the X3. It is made of very high quality rubberized plastics and the edges have a nice grippy texture. I can definitely say that it feels like a premium product. It is water resistant up to 10 meters without a case. Another big upgrade is the display. You theoretically don't need it for composing because that can be done in the post, but it is very useful for changing the settings and checking the exposure. This is a fantastic display and it greatly improves the handling of One X3, but I will also talk about that later. The biggest strength of the 360 video is so-called overcapture. I have explained that in the past, but 360 is still relatively new, so I will go over that in this video as well. 360 cameras are always filming everything around you, which means that you don't need to worry about the composition. That will be done during the editing. There are many creative options for how you can use that. You can add smooth panning without moving the camera, you can add tilting while you are walking, zoom in or out, and use effects such as the tiny planet. One X3 is also great if you are shooting for both vertical and horizontal platforms because it lets you choose the aspect ratio after you have shot the footage. That means that you can use the same clip for 16:9 YouTube video and 9:16 Instagram story, which can save you a lot of time. Besides that, it is highly suitable for mounted and remote use. You can just mount it and forget about it because the composing is done after the footage was shot. So how about the image quality? There actually is a visible improvement over the One X2. The level of detail used to be a limiting factor with 360 cameras, and it probably still is, but I think that the One X3 output looks a lot less out of the place when mixed with other devices. You can still get softer image on the edges of the frame, and it is visible that it is indeed shot by a 360 camera, but in my opinion in a very acceptable way. The colors used to be a bit of an issue with the first generation, the second generation was a big improvement in this regard, and I can say that the colors from One X3 are very good. A big part of the image quality improvements is the dynamic range. As I've explained before, it is crucial with 360 cameras because they are filming bright sky and much darker ground at the same time. There was a big upgrade from One X to the X2 and the X3 continues this trend. It manages the dynamic range really well even in quite extreme situations, so you won't get just a huge white circle in the center of the frame on a sunny day. The low light is not particularly a strong suit of One X3, which is to be expected, but it is actually not bad in dusk situations. Insta360 has basically perfected the stitching with One X2, so it is no surprise that it stays perfect with the X3. As long as there isn't a huge exposure difference between the two cameras, you won't even be able to tell where the two pictures meet. Insta360's flow stabilization has been great since the first generation, and I can still say that it is the best stabilization of all devices that I've ever tested. It has infinite room for digital cropping based on the gyro data. Walking is extremely smooth even on a bumpy surface. There is simply no shaking at all. The stabilization is simply fantastic, there is not much more to talk about. One X3 offers single lens 2-dimensional video mode. Single lens video is a huge improvement over the One X2 implementation. It can be shot in 4K and it offers a pretty solid amount of detail. It is not on par with the best 2D action cameras due to the fisheye lens with distortion, but it is fine for casual use should you need it. You can also switch between the front and the rear lens. Another big upgrade over the One X2 is the possibility to shoot 72 megapixel stills. You can view those and choose the composition in mobile or desktop app. You can export these photos and use them as photos from a 2D camera. The image quality is indeed a big improvement over previous 360 cameras. These are definitely more than good enough for any kind of social media publishing. One of the biggest improvements over the One X and One X2 is the screen. One X3 uses a 2.29-inch display with tempered glass. This is actually the best display that I've ever seen on any action camera. It has very good resolution, it is more than sufficiently bright and color accurate. Despite that it is a 360 camera, it is very nice to finally have a proper display on the One X. The handling and the user interface is also the best that I've ever used on any action camera. It uses swipe gestures to access different functions and settings. I especially like the control panel accessible by swiping from the top edge. The menu is very well structured and everything is easy to access. It also has a quick menu with adjustable presets accessible by the Q button on the right side. There is also a button that allows you to switch between single lens video and 360 on the front side. Overall, I only have the highest praises for the handling of the One X3. Insta360 definitely got it right this time. Insta360 apps have been some of the best for a long time. Apps for mobile platforms allow you to control the camera, view and store the content, and edit it. It also has very advanced AI editing features such as smart tracking, auto-framing, and so on. It works particularly well on the tablets where you can combine the convenience of the user-friendly interface with a large screen. Insta360 also offers free desktop apps for PC and Mac. It is pretty much unchanged, but it gets the job done very well if you prefer to edit your 360 footage on a desktop. One X3 comes with a neoprene pouch which is necessary to protect exposed lenses and also the display. An alternative is to use this rubber lens cap, which is more convenient, but it won't protect the display, so I will probably get some screen protector. One X3 uses a pretty large 1800 mAh battery. The battery is also a part of the outer construction. There is a gasket around the structural part to ensure the water resistance. The battery will last about 160 minutes when recording 5.7K video, which is a great number. The SD card is also located underneath the battery, which is not ideal but not a big deal. It can get fairly warm after about 10 minutes of recording, but it has never shut down during my usage. The battery can be charged through USB-C and you can also use it for data transfer. Another new accessory that gives you new creative options is the extended 3 meters long selfie stick. Invisible selfie stick is a well-known trick, but with a 3 meters long selfie stick you can basically get a drone perspective, which opens a lot of possibilities as long as the situation allows the use of such a device. One more first-party accessory that I will mention here is the Quick Reader. It connects to the side of the camera by USB-C. The footage is stored on the SD card in the reader, which can then be connected to basically any device with USB-C. It works with iPhone, iPad and probably Android in the Insta360 app, and it also works with Mac and Windows as a normal SD card reader. The audio quality is a huge improvement over the One X2. Insta360 went from barely usable audio on One X2 to very good audio on One X3. Now it is finally usable for vlogging, for holiday videos and stuff like that. Insta360 also offers a very reasonably priced 3.5mm adapter, so we also have very good options for external audio recording. Insta360 has also recently released 1-inch 360 mod for the One RS. That one is oriented more towards the prosumer and professional use, whereas the One X3 is intended for consumer use. You will obviously get better output from the 1-inch 360 mode, but it is larger and it also costs more than twice as much. The price of the One X3 is in my opinion very reasonable considering that it has 2 sensors, 2 lenses, a very good display and so on. Especially the US price is really good, the euro is not doing well, so the price difference reflects that. To sum up, the X3 is a very pleasant refinement of the One X line. It offers better output, better handling, better battery life, and more pleasant user interface. The output makes the One X3 usable for publishing on more demanding platforms. The flow state stabilization is still a big highlight of the system. 360 cameras are generally all about providing unique creative options associated with the Overcapture. One X3 does that in a very refined way, and it pushes consumer 360 video closer to the mainstream. Besides the limitation of the current state of 360 capture, which is still the image quality to some extent, I can't really find any weaknesses of the One X3. If you can take advantage of those creative options, I can highly recommend it. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you have found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.